Lunch with Munch on Cleveland's AM 1540 KNR2.
Lunch with Munch live from the East Center at Homestead, streaming live on ESPNCleveland.com and coming at you on Cleveland's AM 1540 KNR2. I want to say, give a big shout out to Brian Corey, our special guest we have here today, OSU student. We'll talk to him a little bit. But right now, another very, very special guest. And, remember, I started in radio in Columbus in 1979 at QFM 96. And at the time, a young man.
I was born that year, Munch.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Well,
Just to make you feel young.
That's why I call him my little brother.
Right?
Right?
Exactly.
That's why I call him. And Charles Bentley, I don't like it is, but this young man at the time took the state of Ohio State by storm. And now he has a new book out because things didn't go as expected. The book, The Rise and Fall of Art Schlichter. Art Schlichter is with us now. Art, how are you? We are superb. Well, Charles Bentley with me, Munch Bishop talking to Art Schlichter. Art, as I said, things didn't go as expected in your life. And we were just talking before you came on, Art, and you were a highly sought-after athlete. You were a highly recruited athlete. I'm sure at times a coddled athlete. Do you think maybe you being allowed to bend rules, break rules at time, help aid the problems that arose in your life?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I was, a big rule breaker. I grew up. I didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't, made my curfews for my family. Did everything I was really supposed to do. Had a good life. Tried to pattern myself after some of the athletes that I admired that were good guys. So I don't think that as life went along, I think that when you're an athlete, sometimes you cut corners a little bit when you shouldn't, and you maybe have it a little bit easier here and there. But I really don't think my addiction and my problems really had anything to do with whether I had I was coddled as an athlete. I think it was more about an addiction and feeding the addiction and then chasing the money after the addiction started.
We're talking to Art Schlichter, the book Busted, The Rise and Fall of Art Schlichter. Art, when you talk about the addiction, people are addicted to many things, some drug, some sex, some alcohol, but you have to sample before you even know that, wow, this is part of you. When did you start gambling?
Well, I started gambling, at an early age, just, playing little penny-ante cards with my uncles and cousins and, on holidays. But that really wasn't gambling. Once I got to the, college and went out to the horse track one night, Scioto Downs, and as I talk about in the book, from the first day I went there, I was hooked. I had a nice win the first night I was there, and and that's usually not a good thing to happen for anybody with an addictive personality. I didn't know I had an addictive personality at that point. I just thought that it was something that was going to be fun and that we could do and enjoy, and but it ended up being a full-fledged addiction. So to answer your question, I started when I was probably 18, 19 years old, but I didn't really fully grasp how bad the disease was until I actually hit prison.
Art, how long were you in prison?
Well, from 1994 to 2006, I was in 10 out of those 12 years. So I spent a lot of time in incarceration and paid a high price for things that I did wrong, and certainly I'm not proud of that, but I'm glad that I made it through because there were times where I thought I might not, and I'm glad I've had the opportunity to go on and live a better life from there.
Art, being in prison, you still had your addiction. Were you counseled for it? Were you using your quote-unquote proverbial phone calls you get in prison to place more bets? Tell us about that.
Well, there is no treatment in prison for gambling. Gambling is widespread in prison. It goes from wall to wall, and a lot of guys use gambling as a way to kill time, to eat up time, and to distract them from actually doing time. And at points in my incarceration, I certainly was one of those guys. And in the end, before I actually stopped, I faced severe consequences because I picked up the phone and gambled while I was in prison. And for most people, that would have been a small write-up, but for me, and being who I was, and and being the problems that I had, they thought they would teach me a lesson and stuck me into solitary confinement for 6 months. So it was, it was an addiction that was, it carries with me every day of my life, not just those days and not just yesterday, but today. And you battle it. And you try to do the right thing, and you try to stay clean for the day and take it one day at a time.
Believe me, I understand what you're saying. Charles?
Art, what do you hope to accomplish by writing this book?
Well, this is not the Lee Charles Bentley, the great Ohio State Buckeye, is it?
Of course it is.
Allegedly, former guy.
Good to talk to you, Charles.
Good to speak with you, former Buckeye.
What I hope to accomplish is, there's a couple things. I think that it was, when I first wrote it, people had said, Art, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. You got all these, stories to tell and all these things that have happened to you in life. What an interesting book that would make. So, of course, you want to put it down on paper, and you hope it's entertaining, and you hope that people have a better understanding of what I went through in particular. It was very therapeutic for me at times writing the book. It was very emotional at times writing the book. But in the end, I think that, when it's all said and done, and after Buckeye fans read it and football fans read it, I think that in the end, my hope is that addictive people will read it, people that have had addiction in their life or are facing it at that point, or people that are have a family member that's an addict that really haven't understood it very well. My hope is that they would get a lot out of it, and it would, it would be a help book. It's really a cautionary tale about what gambling can do to anyone, and if it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone, and that's kind of what the book is all about. And also it gave me a chance to talk about, my feelings toward the people that maybe I had loved and harmed, and given a chance to say I'm sorry and to make amends in some ways that I probably couldn't have in other avenues.
Art, asking you tough questions. I want you to know, on your senior day, when you trotted out onto the field at Ohio Stadium, Gary Williams also trotted out, I had tears because of the great memories that you gave us. I need to ask you this. In the Gator Bowl, when you threw the interception to Charlie Bauman that turned out to be W.W. Hayes' undoing, there has been talk. Did you bet on that game and purposely throw the interception?
Well, I've never heard that talk before, Munch.
I have.
That's an interesting question. No, I never bet on a game that I played in. Certainly not as a freshman. I had not even been exposed to gambling at that point. I started going to the racetrack in the spring of my freshman year, and didn't even know probably what a point spread was, or a horse track was, or never paid much attention to it. So, no, that's an absolute no. Nor did I ever bet on a game that I played in, whether it was in college or the NFL or arena football or Canadian League. I never crossed that line. Never did. Never would.
By the way, Art, Michael Regai, who was doing some of your games when you were at the Detroit Drive, wants to give you his very best. He's also on our station, and wish you nothing but a good future. Art, you gambled away more than $1.5 million. You gambled away $120,000 in 2 days. Have you paid back all of this money, Art?
Oh, no. It'll take years for me to pay back restitution on that kind of money, Munch. I pay into it every month, do the best I can with it. I don't make a lot of money. The book proceeds, the majority of those will be going to pay back restitution and to donations to charities that we can help. So, no, it'll be a long process of actually ever earning enough money to pay back the people that I've harmed. But you grind it out day to day and hope for the best.
Art Schlichter's book, Busted, The Rise and Fall of Art Schlichter. By the way, Art, love listening to you on 610 WTVN game days in Columbus when I go down to do my show back to ESPN 850 WKNR. Art, need to ask you this, my friend. I know you don't have much longer to stay with us today, and I can't thank you enough and wish you the best, is that you still owe people money. Do you ever get up in the morning thinking that someone may come to get that money in any way, shape, or form they can from you?
No, I don't know those kind of people money. Johnny Salami and the Cabuzzo brothers never crossed my paths too much. I've had, a lot of the money that I owe was to institutions, banks, and then you pay you pay your debt to society for that.